Arabella on my screen. Her smile it shines so bright. She's a queen with every scene. In the morning or the night, recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable flora. She's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable flora. She's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable flora. She's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable flora. She's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong.
Petals got power, Florabella stands tall. Every drip, every drop, watch the haters fall. Channel sharp as thorns, ain't taking no mess. Scroll through her feet, feel that queen's finesse. Vines tangle tight, but Flora breaks free. Roots so deep, can't mess with her tree. From the mud she rises, roses from the dirt. Every comment section she lays down hurt. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless. From the garden green to the concrete wall, Florabella, unstoppable nature's child. Leaves whisper secrets, she's the loudest shout. From the channel buzzing, she never backs out. Seed of strength, through seasons she grows. In the face of doubt, her spirit glows. Cameras ain't a limit, she branches out. Thorns in her crown, she wears it no doubt. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless.
Alright guys, welcome to my channel. If you're just joining for the first time, hopefully you enjoy the show today. Do me a favor as you all are coming in, hit the like button for me. I'll greatly appreciate it. Now, unfortunately, we're here to discuss a very uncomfortable topic, right? A topic that I think a lot of people are not having realistic conversations with young people, with young women, with young men. I just don't think the conversations surrounding some of the scenarios in this situation are happening much anymore. And it's really disturbing, um, with the, discovery of Celeste's body in Mr. David's trunk, right? The trunk of his Tesla. Obviously by now, most of you have heard this case. Hey, Mr. Joshua, he says, hey, Flora, let's go. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and smash the notification bell. Yes, guys, please do me the favor. Now, most of you have already heard about Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Her case, it has hit the internet by storm the moment her body was identified. All right. Now, there was a lot of strange things that have come out in this case, and we're going to get into all of that. But again, the general theme of this case is so disturbing. Yeah, Josh, it's so disturbing because we're talking about a girl who essentially was groomed by somebody who was not that much older than her, but who was an adult, right? And essentially, it appears that this man, this person, this young individual used his power and his influence to not only lure this girl out of her life and wherever she was dwelling with her people, but, he specifically wanted to lure her for the purposes of engaging in whatever type of relationship. And I'm gonna go ahead and as far as saying that I think that he had nefarious intentions for her from the beginning. But this whole case has kind of busted wide open this concept of, age gap dating teens, like young people being manipulated by older people, right? And then we suddenly start to fall back into the conversation of age of consent, and who's watching over this girl. When did they meet? Is he young enough to, um, you know, be somebody who maybe wouldn't have known better in terms of taking advantage of her? There's just so many questions swirling around this case. But I wanted to start off by going into a video that is unrelated to this case. This case talks about why older men pursue teenage girls. Now, I don't think that, although this is going to be coming from a social worker, I don't think it's necessarily coming from the perspective of that all men seek out younger women. I think this is just like there is a particular subset of men who do that. Hey Kunal Damari says, name the culprit. We'll see in a second. Alicio Gudaji says, hi, hello. Thank you for joining my show. Make sure you guys hit the like button on your way, and I appreciate you being here with me today. You can be anywhere, but you're here with me. All right, so let's get into this here. And I do think a lot of these mindsets that men have sometimes kind of leads back to why girls and women are finding themselves being taken advantage of, because again, Shannon Sharp also has some type of like a grooming situation. He dealt with a girl who was 19, took advantage of her and things like that. But let's just hear this clip on how they describe older men pursuing young girls.
And the shame older men in the picking them. Because see, that's the competition. Older women ain't the competition with older women. It's them young ones.
Right.
It's them young ones that's coming.
Yes,
that'll do what you want.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody gonna tell me I'm independent. I pay.
Now, who wants to be in a relationship with someone that's just gonna do what they want? Right? Like, I totally understand finding someone who's on the same page as you, who, has some interest in pleasing you and you pleasing them, right? I totally get that. But the way that he's describing that relationship doesn't sound like it's a two-way street, right? It sounds like I want you to do what I want you to do. Right? But let's continue.
My bills, right. I pay the cost to be the boss. You the boss by yourself. Them old young one coming with it. They coming with it, Ocho.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. It is Crystal, your favorite social worker. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing a topic that has been the center of so many online debates within the past few weeks. And that's the topic of much older men pursuing and dating teenage girls. So if you're not aware, ex-NFL player Shannon Sharp is being sued and accused of SA by a woman that he engaged in sexual activity with when she was 19 and he was 54. Let me repeat that. He is being sued and accused of SA by a woman that he started a sexual relationship with when she was 19 and he was 54. So that means he was old enough to be her grandfather. So, of course,
Yeah, and just think about what sense would that make, right? Besides the fact that it's creepy and weird that he's even attracted, what could a 19 and a 55-year-old possibly have in common? If y'all can tell me in the chat what a 55-year-old and a 19-year-old would have in common, please tell me in the chat, because we have a bandit over here saying she's mad she is a 19, 19 is a man, right? No, right? Science itself says that our brains aren't even fully developed until 25 years old, much less whatever gender you are, right? Because science also says that it seems men mature a little bit slower as well, right? So even though they may reach that point of mental clarity by 25, they might still be maturing. Now, Wody says that all goes back to the parents. I don't think, besides preventative measures like trying to tell your kids not to just talk to random people online, don't meet up with older people online type of situations, outside of informing your children that these predators are dangerous and they exist, there's not much that can be put on the parents, right? Even if a parent is 100% on top of where their child is and keeps track of them, there's still the possibility that you can lose track of a teenager, you can lose track of a child, because that's just how fluid things are. They go to school, they hang out with friends, they play outside, right? We're not going to shield kids in all day to where they can't even go outside, make friends or anything, because we're worried about predators. At the end of the day, to some degree, parents are vulnerable, right? They're vulnerable to the world when they have children, because those children are going to be in public spaces. They're going to be in schools. They're going to be hanging out with friends in social environments. There are places that are catered to young people's and their social environments. And a lot of those places now have moved online, right? That's the major issue that we have here right now. But let's continue.
course, because of the accusation that Shannon Sharp is facing, and because he's such a public figure, there was immediate backlash. Like, the internet has been talking about this topic since the allegations came out. The public reaction to this topic has been split. There are many people, mostly men, who believe that since the age of 18 is considered legal, that they are fair game to have a relationship with, even if the other person is in their late 50s. And then there are other people, both men and women, who believe.
Yeah, and here's the sad part, right? There's actually, it's actually really unfortunate. Hold on, guys. Wait. Sorry, I'm trying to play another clip after this. Hold on, I'm gonna let it play real quick and then hold on.
Believe that a 54-year-old man should not engage in a sexual relationship with a 19-year-old girl. And honestly, it is wild that we even have to have these damn conversations, but here we are. Shannon Sharp is a disgusting, slutted out geriatric weirdo for that 19-year-old girl, and I say girl because her brain is not even developed. 56 years old, you started having a relationship with a 19-year-old, and you're talking about she's blackmailing you? I'm not even worried about the claims. I believe her. I'm just going to say that. I'm more so worried about the fact that he got on the internet and admitted at his big, grown, nasty age to having a relationship with a teenager and didn't think that the world was going to be like, that is so damn nasty. And then my thing too, people want to turn it into, oh, he's being taken down because of who he is. Shannon Sharp is a middle-aged weirdo. He is a loser with money that is pursuing young girls. He could.
And the sad part is too, just on that point, is that they only, like, every time something happens like this where a popular black male is caught in an environment like this, they tend to weaponize the fact that that person is one of few black people who's successful or who's in these upper echelon places. They weaponize that, right? They want people to think, oh, the reason why they chose him is because he's a black man. Forget all the weird shit that she released that he said about blood, or that she said to him and he wanted her to say about big black babies and all that weird stuff, right? They want people to believe that this is some sort of other thing. It's not about his behavior and the weirdness and the normalization that you actually do see in the community, in other communities of age gap dating or waiting at the womb for somebody to turn 18. I mean, it's crazy. Let me go. I wanted to go back to this because I did skip it. Or I didn't skip it, but it went by pretty fast. Listen to what this man is saying about when somebody should be able to pursue a young person.
There are many people, mostly men, who believe that since the age of 18 is considered legal, that they are fair game
Oh, okay.
to
We're
have a
gonna hear the
relationship
clips in a
with,
second. My
even
bad.
if the other person is in their late 50s. And then there are other people, both men and women, who believe that
All right, so I'm gonna fast forward. I thought it was a playing already, right? But obviously, this woman feels very strongly about people who believe it's normal to date teenagers. But I wanted to get into this part here, right? Because same with Bad Barbie, whatever the hell her name is, other young people who, got online, or became popular online, and then by like 17, 18, they blew up on these OnlyFans sites and stuff like that, right? A lot of those girls talked about how those men were waiting around for them, right? Waiting around to oh sheesh. Sorry guys. I'm like over here. I saw a huge transaction and it was actually a refund. But yes. Damn, I completely lost my point, guys. Lost my point. I'm very distracted this afternoon. Let's continue though. Her specific dialogue though is very passionately against males wanting to seek out young women, young men, whatever the case may be, right? But we're going to get into some of the stereotypes and conversations that many of us that spend time online listening to Dusties or other weirdos in these conversations that we hear, that we've heard live in stereo. All right, let's get into it.
He's 56. She was 19. Why would he want an 18-year-old? I'm here to tell you, if you over the age of 18 and you cross the street without looking, you're getting hit.
I don't feel bad for Shannon Sharp, and neither should you. A 56-year-old man dating a teenager is not okay. And for those of you that want to claim legal age and age of consent, the only reason why those laws even exist was specifically for situations like this, because men were taking advantage of young women. The age of consent before 1885 in England was 12 and then 13. After 1885, it went to 16. And you know why it went to 16? Because a journalist exposed that men were taking advantage of young girls. Law was specifically designed to keep men away from young girls, and it was literally dubbed as like white slavery at the time. The laws changed in about the 20s in the states from ages 16 to 18, depending on the state, because again, child marriage, and these men were targeting young girls. Regardless of the legality of things, it's highly immoral and unethical, and he knows it. Your pity is best served elsewhere.
As a 25-year-old,
And we're going to get into that, right? Because this is a very interesting conversation as it relates to dating and where all this like seeking out young women came from, right? It's been a thing, right? A thing of the past, but it definitely a thing where it was normalized. We know that the age of consent and age that women were getting married actually changed more recently than it did, compared to the majority of the past history, right? I think it's as late as up to 1885. The age of consent was 12 years old in the Western world, and we know around the world it was very similar. So it's not something that's specific to white cultures, right? This is another thing that's going to bother me, and it's going to continue to bother me because I know it's something that people tend to do. Pedos, creeps, weirdos are not specific to the white community. This should be common sense. But I hear people sometimes saying things like this, and hear me out. Hear me out on this. They're specifically saying, "Oh, that sounds like some white people ish. Oh, white black people learned that from white people, white civilization. That's what the slave master, buck breaking, blah blah blah." No, and okay, fine. Some people want to grant that. Yes, maybe these deviant mindsets, quote unquote, have come from white. But listen, we are way far removed from anything that people be trying to reference and act like it's specific to a culture across the board. across the board, across all cultures, there exist pedos and creeps and weirdos who will wait outside of high schools, who will send friend requests to teenagers on the internet that they know in their communities, that their families know. This is not something that is specific to any one group, right? We should all be worried about these types of creeps. But sometimes I hear these conversations in these small spaces. Oh, that's white people, the white man. Most people should understand predators are across the board, all races, ethnicities, socioeconomic statuses. It's nothing specific to anybody, right? All groups do it. All groups suffer from it. Exactly, Joshua. It's a human thing, specific, not specific to one group. And that's the thing that bothers me. That's why I feel like sometimes the conversations don't get off the ground about how communities are dealing with this, right? Because people want to act like, oh, that's some white people ish. That's some white people ish. That's some white people ish. That is not the case. All right, let's continue though.
Man, I don't know one single 19-year-old. Not one that I could name. And I think if you're 23 and above, you shouldn't know any 19-year-olds either. Unless they're family, of course. You know, we all got siblings and cousins and, you know, whatnot. But Shannon Sharp is a 40, 50, 60? I don't even know. He old. He up there. That's unk. That's unk. And I had a lot of respect for bro. But 19, bro, is crazy. That's kind of diabolical. That's very lustful. That's kind of disgusting. And just like with the amount of wealth and fame and success you have, why would you put yourself in that situation? Like, you just saw your world crumble right in front of you just because of lust and such a bad decision. 19-year-old? You're not on first take anymore. Millions of dollars, a lawsuit, just your image. I don't see a point in this. I don't see a point in this. And even if you don't want to date your age, you want to go a little younger. Okay. What happened to the 40-year-olds? 45? You know, 19, brother? That's crazy, man. Make some better decisions, people.
So today I'm going to tackle this conversation from a social worker and a mental health perspective. But this isn't about just one celebrity. It's about a much bigger pattern we see everywhere. I'm going to cover power dynamics, grooming culture, emotional manipulation, and the psychology behind this pattern. So even though this current discord is about Shannon and this much younger woman, this is not the first time we've seen this happen. Older men, especially in Hollywood, are notorious for pursuing and dating much younger women, sometimes as young as teenagers. So anyone with any bit of common sense can understand that there is a huge power imbalance between someone who is 54 years old and someone who is 19 years old. The 54-year-old has much more lived experience than the person who is only 1 year removed from high school. The relationship will always be imbalanced because of the huge age gap. And a lot of times when older men pursue younger women, they try to convince them that they're mature for their age, when in all actuality, it's the older person who's immature. If you are 54 and you can only relate to people that are 19 and 20, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're just immature. You're emotionally stunted and immature.
And this is the important thing to remember here. Why can't a 50-something-year-old get a 40-year-old? Late 30s even. Why does he have to go reach back into somebody's teenage years in order to find somebody who will do what he wants them to do, right? Because no, that's what he said. And a lot of these weird bandits who kind of move like this, they're very vocal about the fact that they don't want to deal with women in their age group because those women have standards. They have stronger boundaries, life experience tied to those boundaries, right? Mind you, that a 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24-year-old wouldn't have in comparison to a 55-year-old man. Right? There's a lot of numbers in between that he's skipping to go down to a 19-year-old and have to pay her millions of dollars due to your nasty and funky behavior. So that's the biggest issue. Why can't you relate to women your age? Why? It doesn't make any sense. All right, let's continue.
There's no way that you can tell me that you have anything in common with a 19-year-old and you're 54 to the point where you want to pursue a relationship with them. I am 20 years younger than Shannon Sharp, and I would never ever pursue a 19-year-old because I have nothing in common with them. So can you imagine someone 20 years older than me thinking that they have something in common with a 19-year-old? It's giving emotionally stunted and immature. Here are the reasons why these men prefer much younger women. For one, the younger person has much less life experience. And when you have much less life experience, you sometimes can be easier to manipulate. Another reason would be that dating someone that they can fully control feeds their egos and their insecurities. It is a conscious choice to choose to date someone in their teens. Because honestly, you can pick someone who's 25, 26, 27 and not have all the backlash of dating a teenager, but them specifically choosing to date someone who still has the word teen in their age was a very calculated and conscious choice. I believe it also has a lot to do with the desire to avoid accountability from emotionally mature women. The older you get in age, the more emotionally mature you are likely to be. So if I want to avoid accountability and avoid someone calling me out on the things that I do, I'm going to pursue someone who does not have the lived experience of.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the important part. Like, people don't understand that when us as women get older and as people get older, right? We start to equate our experiences with how our behavior and our values are going to go, right? So if we've had a lot of experiences where if you date a certain age above you, or for example, yeah, because a lot of women will do that, right? They'll get married young and have a child, or at least that was the trend back in the day, right? With that lived experience comes the knowledge that, a man is going to want to control you. He's going to want to, keep the reins on you. He's not going to want you to build yourself up, your education, things like that. There's certain lessons that go along with all these time periods in your life, right? So the fact that a man is unable to relate to women even a decade younger than him, right? Because to reach all the way down again to a 19-year-old when you're 55 is crazy. 30, okay, that's even bad still, right? In my opinion, right? But having to reach down three to four decades, there's something going on mentally where you can't relate to a woman your age at all. And women your age are more than likely, okay, they might not have 100% standards. So I'm not going to lie and say older women have higher standards per se, but they're less likely to put up with foolishness in relationships. Hey Brownie, I also wanted to state, guys, I forget that for vertical you can't hit the link from the chat. But one thing that you can do is go to my community wall. I actually posted the restream link from a computer. You can join my show. So just go there if you guys are interested in speaking on this subject. Obviously, if you're going to come on here, you do have to either show your face really quick for a second, or just kind of show your face on screen to, you know, preserve the quality of the show. And then you can share your opinion on this, because I'm really curious, right? How many of you had conversations with the adults in your life about what a creepy person is, or what's an appropriate person to try to interact with you, right? How many of you know of or understand or understood while you were young that older man approaching you or trying to talk to you is a bad thing, right? These are conversations that I don't think are happening on as a larger scale as they were, and especially they should be, because we have the internet. We have the internet where we can meet people from all across the way, right? An older person, especially like David, which we're going to talk a little bit more about it soon, he can use his money, his fame, his popularity, right, to manipulate anybody, much less a teenager, much less a 12-year-old, you know what I'm saying, or a 13-year-old, however old she was when she met him. All right, let's continue though.
Recognizing when someone is out of pocket and calling them out. Because like you heard him say in the beginning,
It's them young ones that cut. That'll do what you want.
Yeah.
That'll do what you want.
Yeah.
He wants somebody that's going to do exactly what he wants them to do with little to no pushback. That's very weird and dysfunctional behavior. When it comes to these types of dynamics, it's never about love and it's always about access and control. So a lot of times when young women actually believe that they're in love with much older men, they are not aware that they're being groomed. And the idea that they are being groomed is usually something that they reject and is usually something that is really offensive to them. I've seen this play out time after time again. When you come to someone that just so happens to be in a dynamic such as this one, and you tell them like something is off and that they're probably being groomed, they completely reject that because they don't want to feel that they have been manipulated. Sometimes it takes for them to actually have a child and for that child to be the same age as they were when they were groomed for them to get it. Because at that point, they'll be like, oh, my daughter's 18. I would never allow for her to date somebody that's 54. Then they start to have the epiphany that they've been groomed. It's very hard to accept the fact that you're being manipulated while you're in the moment of being manipulated.
Yeah.
And honestly,
And this is something people don't understand. Like, if an adult, it might be hard for an adult to come to grasp with that. Imagine a young person who their feelings aren't even mature yet. Like, they still have a very immature perspective of pride, of themselves, and things like that. Now, you kind of throw it in that air there that, oh, you're being manipulated by an older man, or that older man thinks you're stupid and easy. That's why he's using, like, the type of terminology that you hear, right? How some people will call young girls fast, right? Instead of teaching them that man is trying to make you run, right? He's trying to run you into womanhood, right? He's trying to take advantage of you, use your body, whatever the case may be, right? It's something that people don't understand, that you have to know how to speak to these young people so that they can recognize it, right? Instead of calling girls fast, ask them why would an older man with everything going for him, money, a life, why would he want a little old child like yourself? Right? Instead of calling girls fast. Let's continue.
a lot of times in our culture, whether it be Hollywood or influencer culture or movies, a lot of times they promote these older men, very younger women type of dynamic relationships. And that further allows people to believe that it is not only normal, but it's okay. When there is a huge power dynamic in a sexual relationship, there is a potential for lines to get blurred between consent and coercion. So, if one person has an advantage or a power over the other, it is very hard to know if there is actual consent involved or if the person of lesser power was coerced. And the people that are saying, well, 19 is legal, so it's fine. I'm really sad, and y'all. So what you're telling me is if 15 was legal, you would be pursuing a 15-year-old. If 13 was legal, you would pursue a 13-year-old. Of course, 18 and 19 are legal according to the laws in our country. But that does not mean that it's morally right. That does not mean it's appropriate for a 54-year-old man to be having intercourse with an 18 and 19-year-old girl. It's ridiculous. And that legal argument is so fucking played out because at some point slavery was legal. That doesn't mean that it was right. So y'all can miss me with the it's legal argument. Just because something is legal does not mean that it's right. The amount of men I've seen online in the past few weeks saying things like 18 is legal is truly wild. It's gross and it's disgusting.
All right. Let's go into the initial story that sort of came out about Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Okay, now you guys do know that since the beginning of the revelation of this case, a lot of information has come out, right? A lot of information has come out in a short period of time. The internet sleuths, as we call them, or sleuths, I don't know how you pronounce it. They have already started their works, right? They're trying to figure out what associations that he has had with this girl prior. They've dug up, old videos in the form and put them in the shorts, right? They want us to see what there is to see about this case. Oh, sorry guys, I shared the wrong screen. Let me share this tab here. This is what initially came out about the case of Celeste Reeves. Now we've talked quite a bit so far about this idea of age gap dating, right? Seeking out younger women. Right, now let's get into sleuths. Okay, thank you very much, Brownie, for helping me pronounce that. Internet sleuths. I knew there was a way I was pronouncing it wrong. Um, but let's get into the initial story that came out, what we learned, and all that. And then I have a major update with all the latest facts that the police have gathered and that the internet has put together in the last 48 hours.
Developing news. So the body found in the trunk of a Tesla registered to popular music artist David is that of a teenage girl missing since April of last year. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez live in Lake Elsinore. This stunning development in this case. Christina.
Yeah, her name was Celeste Rivas. She was last seen leaving her home here back in 2024. Her family thought she was missing. She was declared missing back then. They had no idea there could even be a connection to the body in the Tesla until they got a call from TMZ last week. Now, keep in mind that David has been cooperating with authorities. He has not been named a person of interest, let alone a suspect. But at this point, his concert in Seattle, the next concert date, has been canceled. And people here are saying, what's going on? Take a look. Few words from those arriving at the Lake Elsinore home where 15-year-old Celeste Rivas disappeared in April of 2024. Where her family has just found out that it is her partially dismembered body that was found.
Now that's a major detail there. I don't know how they could possibly, write off that was done accidental, right? Because they still haven't really declared what type of case this is. But I don't know how they would be able to call that a dismemberment, an accidental deletion, right? I don't know how. At worst, no, at best, we have a young man who tried to dispose of a body of somebody who maybe passed away while using substances or some other type of fatal injury. At worst, he's a deviant criminal.
Found in the trunk of a Tesla registered to popular singer-songwriter David Anthony Burke, known by the stage name David. TMZ broke the girl's identification after speaking to her mother.
It was a very heart-wrenching conversation. She was very upset and said that all she knew is that, her daughter had been missing all this time. She told us that she was aware that there was a boyfriend named David.
And that her daughter had a tattoo with the letters "sh" on her right index finger.
That the color of the ink of that tattoo was red, which was something that police had not released to the public.
The singer, who has been cooperating with police, had continued his tour after the body was discovered. But he just canceled his next date in Seattle.
But it just seemed odd to us that, gosh, your car, such a grisly discovery in your car, and that you're just out on tour. You would think that, you'd want to find out what happened here, because this is just a very bizarre case.
Especially because one of his videos actually features a body being put in the trunk of a car.
It's just eerie considering what ended up happening.
Yeah, it's incredibly eerie, right? And we are going to hear from this man as well some more, because he definitely digs into this case and interviews several people. But it's incredibly eerie, right? He has a song called Romantic Red Rum, right? Where he is literally in a suit, he's bloody. There's a girl that looks just like Celeste in that video. Okay, let me show you guys, because Brownie asked in the chat, did you hear his music? It was dark stuff. For the people who talked about listening to that music, they said that music actually was very cute. Like they viewed it as like love battles and things. They never thought that he was truly talking about something gruesome that he was doing to a human being. You know what I'm saying? Like a young woman. So I do think a lot of people are kind of that watched him. I didn't watch him, but a lot of people that consumed his music actually kind of thought he was like this romantic artist when really there's something very dark and ugly behind, it appears, his personality. So let's get into it.
In David's car.
I just hope that the truth comes forward.
Celeste's neighbors on the street she grew up at.
Justicia.
Justice is what family and friends are asking for.
Whatever happened could happen to someone else, and it's just scary.
Now, again, at this point, I want to emphasize David, he's been cooperating.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't know I was on mute. But to me, I don't know if people are seeing the visual similarity. Some people say it's only slight, but like the fact that it's slight in the first place, right? Look at this. Okay, that's the girl in the video, romantic red rum, and this is Celeste. Right? That's Celeste Rivas. She's a young girl. She's 12 years old. It appears when she met this young man, she really didn't really stand a chance to him and his popularity and who he was. All right. She has a very stark similarity to the actress used in this video that was made 3 years prior when people believe that that's when he actually met her. All right. Very disturbing case. If you're willing to be honest and kind of juxtapose this young girl, this beautiful young girl, and the artist that he used in his music video. Right? Just too creepy. And if you know anything about criminal justice and crime, there are no coincidences. There are none. Right? And you'll actually hear a coincidence as it relates to crime usually is circumstantial evidence that could have been used. All right, let's continue.
With authorities supposedly, and but his next tour date, the one in Seattle, was canceled. He's supposed to be in San Francisco Friday and then come here to the Greek. We haven't heard from those venues yet. We have reached out. We have yet to hear back from LAPD. We'll keep you updated. I'm Christina Gonzalez, live. Make Elsinore, back to you in the studio.
All right, starting to get some answers.
And so now we have some more that has come out on this case. Now, bear with me, guys, because we are going to get into all of the evidence that has come out in the last 48 hours about this case. But this is some of the things that people started to put together on TikTok. All right, let's get into it.
Photos keep surfacing of David with Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who was found in the front trunk of his Tesla.
And let me just say this. No, your child should not be hanging out with a celebrity alone. But let me say this for all the people who want to talk about parents. They're going to associate this photo with when this young girl was actually missing. All right, let's continue though.
It appears as though the photo above was taken in October of 2023. TMZ shared this photo with David and Billie Eilish, and it looks like he's wearing the same outfit that he's wearing in the picture with Celeste. And they confirmed that the photo with Billie Eilish was taken in October of 2023. If the photo with Celeste was taken on the same night, then she would have only been 13 years old. There's also a video live stream that just surfaced with David and Celeste. It looks like they're on a live stream answering questions, and the video is from January January of 2024.
Yo, wait.
Oh, look it. Answer that one. That's so mean if you don't answer that.
Which one? What's good, David? Big fan, mixed family. Yo, thank you, Mitochondria.
Again, so
Hey, Scarred Beauty. Hey, Daniel Berry Sports. Hey, Scarred. And you know, the sad part is when people are online and they're consuming these streams, these IRL streams of these weirdos online, like they really don't know a lot about their character. Right? That's the kind of scary thing about the internet, where like kind of any type of character can get on here and kind of show themselves to be like a cool person and like they're a reputable person. Think about what Halle Bailey is going through with her Bandit DVD, who was also a YouTuber, right? And I actually found out that David, the singer, was also a YouTuber at one point too, and he wanted to cross over into music and was able to successfully catapult himself, right? Part of this to me seems very esoteric, right? I kind of think that in some ways he was sacrificing this girl, but I don't want to trivialize her death. Scar Beauty said, "Is this about the young girl who was found in the trunk?" Yes, this is about Celeste Rivas Hernandez. I kind of started the show going into sort of like the men out there who advocate age gap dating and dating younger and things like that. And then we moved into her case because this girl was very, very young. And listen, guys, I do not think that your teenager should be alone with any celebrity. Nope, don't care. Nope, they should not. They shouldn't. Doesn't matter how much money, how popular, they should never be alone with your children. So, you know, it's kind of tragic. But like I said, this happened. This video here being recorded in January was actually one of the times that her family reported her missing. So, yes, they were definitely responding to this young man being interested in trying to get involved with their family member. You know, it said that lots of her family members did try to reach out. You know, some people are saying there's not a lot of urgency and that maybe a particular family member knew about the relationship and actually supported it. But, you know, we don't know all those details yet, so we'll get into it. But let's continue. There's about 30 seconds left in this. This is IRL footage with her and this young man, obviously alone in a house. All right, I don't know if they're able to connect this video with his house, but you guys should know that there's been lots of updates, so we'll go into his house as well.
Celeste would have only been 13 years old at the time of this video. In the clip, David tells the moderators to delete all the clips from the live stream when they're done.
We need to delete this.
Moss, can we delete all VODs? And then as soon as the stream ends, delete the stream too?
And there are plenty of other random pictures of Celeste and David floating around the internet. In a lot of them, Celeste is covering her face. This is truly one of the most disgusting and horrific cases, and it keeps getting worse every single day. Let me know your thoughts down below and follow me for more. New photos.
So obviously the internet sleuths, they're on it. Sleuths, that's what it was. The internet sleuths are on it, right? They're definitely out here getting all the information. But trust me, we know the bulk of this story already. Let's get into all the major facts that have come out. We found out that the body in David's truck, Tesla truck, or Tesla vehicle, whatever you want to call that, was of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. All right? Do me a favor, guys. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe for me. I will greatly appreciate if you guys interact in the chat for the show. And let's get into it.
Not like coincidences. And that goes double for cops who are investigating murders of runaway teenagers, especially runaway teenage girls. That fact has got to be hitting home tonight, literally, for the singer known professionally as David, spelled D4VD. I know it's strange, but it's pronounced David. His legal name is David Anthony Burke. And it is quite possible that's the name that was included in the warrant last night that was executed to search the home where he's been living. It's also the same name that's said to be on the title of the impounded Tesla, where the body of a dismembered and decomposing teenage girl was found by police in the trunk, or should I say frunk, the front trunk. That was 1 week ago Monday. If you were with us here last night, you know that that body has been identified as Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose family reported her missing in April of last year. And get this, she may not look it in this picture, but she was just 13 when she went.
And I'm gonna go ahead and rebuke that in the name of Jesus. I think this little girl does look 13 years old. I think she looks every bit of 13 years old, and that's exactly why she was targeted by this man. I am so sick of people acting like a girl can somehow control her development. This is exactly what a 13-year-old looks like. This is not what a 25-year-old looks like. This is not what a 30-year-old looks like. This is what 13-year-old girls look like. Scarred, it's like the language is already ingrained in people to see young girls like they're grown. This girl doesn't look any bit above 14 to me. And I've been 14 in my life, so I know what 14 looks like. This looks like a 14-year-old. I don't know why imply. Oh, she may not look it. This is what 14-year-olds look like. This is why old weird people are attracted to them, because this is exactly what they look like. Young, full of life, beautiful. They prefer this look. This is a teenager. She don't look older. She looks her age, and that's why she's sought out. I really don't understand how in our minds, for some of us, it's automatic to say she looks older. She has a more mature look. No, she doesn't. She looks like a teenager. When these men pursue these girls, they know they're teenagers. They like this look. Just like there's a PDF, there's a HEBF, right? Hebos being attracted to women who are girls who are developing. Girls who are developing into women. That's what they like. And this is the problem, because we want to act like these girls look younger. She looks every bit of 14 to me. She looks like a lot of 14-year-old girls. And this is what they look like. They don't look older. This is them. They're girls. They're still growing. I'm so sick of people saying this. And I think it is so subconscious for women to assume, oh, she looks grown. No, she looks 14. That's exactly why they want her, why they seek her out. Because this is what people who are attracted to teenagers want to see. And she was a beautiful young girl, but I mean, she's gone. She may not look it. She looks every bit of 14 to me. Exactly. They know she looks like a teenager. That's the appeal. Like when we say she looks older, we're kind of trying to normalize why a grown man is dating someone or seeking someone this age. The attraction is to this age, right? That in between adulthood and childhood, that's still developing. That's what this teenager or grown a man was seeking out, is a teenager. But this should show you how quickly things kind of just slip up in our minds, and we are very programmed. So when people expect things to just change overnight, it doesn't make sense. A lot of this programming is very ingrained in us. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and especially they do it with girls. Girls who are of different ethnicities. I think she honestly looks kind of like a mixture, maybe like indigenous Spanish looking. At the end of the day, but still, right? They want to make these other groups look older. Oh, she looks grown. If this was a little white girl who was that age, they'd be like, oh, she looks like a baby. No, she looks like a baby too. This is a 14-year-old. This is exact. If you went across America and told all the 14-year-old girls to come out of the house, this is what all of them would look like. She didn't look grown. This is what a 14-year-old looks like.
Missing. Celeste's birthday, the 15th birthday, was the day before her body was found. But since it was the stench of rotting human remains that led the impound workers to call the LAPD, it is almost certain that Celeste did not live to see 15. For David, who's now on a world tour. None of this is good news, but it's not bad for him yet, legally speaking. That said, here are some of the bizarre...
This is where I disagree. It's already bad for him, right? And it's bad for him because there's way too many coincidences. What's going on, everyone who's coming in? Thank you, BYT Go, for joining the show. Scar Beauty. Thank you, everybody. If you guys are just watching from the clouds, do me a favor and hit the like button. I mean, this is not good for him. I don't think any grown man would want to be disassociated to a missing teenager. Right, and it is questionable to me how more hasn't been said about his connection to her death, especially since they had a warrant to search the apartment that was rented out for him by a
coincidences that you cannot ignore in this murder case. This murdered teenager and the up-and-coming singer both have the same tattoos on their right index fingers, reading "shh." To be fair, it is a popular tattoo, SHHH, far from unique. But Celeste's mother says that her daughter was dating somebody named David when she went missing. And yes, David is a common name. I get it. Then there's the photo. A photo of David, the singer, in Celeste's neighborhood, not far from her house, minutes actually walking, right before she...
See, this is weird. This is weird. Because not only did he probably find this girl online or however he found her, but he was actually putting himself in proximity to her, right? Via this house that was only an hour away from her, which we're going to find a little bit more about that, right? This vehicle that was registered to him that was associated with her body, right? There's a lot of connections between David and this girl since she's been about 12 and a half or 13.
She disappeared. And should I say that Celeste's house is like over an hour away from where David was living, so not likely just to be there for no reason. And now we know that in December of 2023, a song leaked out that is highly curious in retrospect. It is a demo track by David, and it's called, say it with me now, Celeste. The name of the song is Celeste, and it's all about his love for...
And there are no coincidences. I don't know. This is why I started to mentally tie it back to something esoteric, however you pronounce that, right? Because why is this man, gentleman, young man, whatever you want to call his dusty behind, why is there so much music linked to his relationship to this young girl, right? Because I'm not going to sit here and play games with you. You have streams with her. You have pictures with her. You're seen around her house. I mean, there's not a lot of wiggle room here. Exactly, Brownie. And they're going to talk about the time frames because they reported her missing in April 2024 and never saw her again, but they also reported her in January, right? They reported her missing in January of 2024 when he recorded that in real life stream with her. There are way too many connections to this young man and this young girl. This is not a coincidence, right? We've kind of moved past coincidences. And the thing that the internet doesn't understand is that it compromises investigation for the police to show their hand, right? So while they don't have formal charges out there yet, they are likely building a case against David. His time is limited, right? I believe they said he hasn't been seen in a couple of days now. His shows for Friday and Saturday still haven't been canceled yet, at least as of the time of this video. But these are not this is too much to call it a coincidence at this point. Right? Let's
girl
continue.
who's named Celeste. Still, there was no indication that LA police were connecting the dots until last night, when homicide detectives raided a home in the Hollywood Hills. Now, it just happens to be the very same area where the Tesla had been abandoned and then towed. Yet the neighbors say that that Tesla has been parked regularly in front of the home that was raided. And in a town full of Teslas, you're going to find out why in just a moment. Why this Tesla was so memorable to the eyewitnesses who said, oh, it is that one. That's the one right there that was parked outside the home. TMZ reports that that home was most recently occupied by David, the singer, David Anthony Burke, even though it was rented by David's manager. Police reportedly seized a...
And you know, this is where I think people have to give the police, investigators, and all these people time. Right? This girl went missing last year. She did not make it to her 15th birthday. So I don't understand why people are reporting her as a 15-year-old. She did not make it to her 15th birthday. This was a 14-year-old went missing a year ago. January of that year, she's sewn inside of a residence with him in that video, in that IRL stream, right? The one I showed a couple of minutes ago. And I will go back to it because I understand we have people coming in and all that. But this girl has been gone for a year from her family, from her loved ones. They obviously were trying to keep the reins on her, right? But the popularity and stardom of this young man absolutely would take precedence, right? It would take precedence over her friends, her family, everything. This is a celebrity. And we're talking about a young woman who's not even mature enough to understand the situation that she's in. Brownie said he's a whole PDF. That's why he canceled his shows and took down merch. Yeah, most of it is taken down and canceled. But I believe there was a couple shows that were still active, like the one tomorrow and Saturday. But I think maybe as of now, which I'm maybe 24 hours removed from what I saw, he's probably canceled it. They did say he's cooperating. But again, cooperation does not mean innocence. We need to give investigators, the coroner, all them time to give us a time of death, a cause of death. All of that's going to come. But things are tough right now because she was dismembered, right? So the internet wants to move faster than we need, but this is still a very, very developing story. Let's continue, though, because a lot of revelations
computer and quote-unquote other items. And I talked about all of this and more today with TMZ executive producer Charles Ladebaudiere. And before I play you our conversation, I should note TMZ's reporting was instrumental in helping the police identify that the young victim in the trunk was Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Here's my interview. Charles, this story seems to really be getting legs. What happened today with the house where David had been staying? Tell me about that.
Yeah, this house where David had been staying at least earlier this year, probably even further back. Police had a search warrant. They got a search warrant, and they finally went through the house last night. We got some information about what they were looking for there. We know that there were photos of detectives leaving the house with a computer and then several other bags of evidence bags. We don't know exactly what they pulled out of there. We know what they were looking for, and it is very clear that they are trying to connect the victim, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, to that home and obviously to David also. We should say the home is about a block and a half away from where David's Tesla was parked when it was towed to an impound yard.
Okay, that's important. The proximity between this home that was investigated and searched and where the Tesla was found, that's key. I have seen reporting that neighbors had seen a Tesla parked outside that home.
Yeah, that very Tesla. We've spoken to several neighbors who said that the Tesla with the Texas plates, which is what makes it stand out here in LA, a black Tesla with those Texas plates. You know, it was registered to David, who is from the Houston area. So we know that that Tesla is his. The thing that's still not clear is who was actually driving the Tesla when the body was placed in the car, who parked it where it was eventually found and impounded. Those are the dots that still need to be connected here. But as for this house, it's very clear that this is where David was staying. There are lots of photos that he posted from that home. He entertained people there. Benny Blanco came over and he posted some photos with him. The group Cat's Eye was there. They recorded a video with David, like a TikTok video with David in that house. So this is where he apparently was staying and clearly entertaining friends and, you know, posting content from that home. So the one thing we have not seen is a video of Celeste or photos of Celeste in that house. Now, other photos have surfaced showing, it seems pretty clear at this point that David and Celeste had a relationship. There's
And now I'm curious if he's referencing or if he's seen the video that we just saw of Celeste and him on a computer, like doing that IRL stream, right? Did he see that? Or does he know of the video and know it was in another place? BY2 Go says, I've never heard of this weird ass ninja. Yeah, you know, honestly, I had no idea who he was until I heard of his association with the corpse. Right? And I hate to take it there, but this is what makes me think this story has esoteric origins. Why are we just learning of a David spelled D4VD after a body's found in his trunk? Like, seriously, maybe I'm getting old, you know, maybe you're old as well, Taz, and that we don't know these people, but I've never, ever heard of a D4VD until I heard about his association with a corpse in his Tesla. No clue who he was. And it makes you wonder, why are these people suddenly, and then to go back and find out he's a multi-million-dollar streamer, like, or not streamer, recording artist. Like, he has millions of views. He's very popular, but I had no idea of who he was. Brownie said he was an underground R&B artist. Yeah, I mean, he was blowing up. But I had no clue. I could walk past this man and not know who he was. No clue. So, like, it's crazy. What other origins could this have other than some weird sacrificial thing? Because his connections is just too much. Brownie Ellie said he worked with Kali Uchis. Yeah, a lot of these people just pop up out of nowhere. You know, but I had no idea who he was. I also live under a rock. I can't even take my phone into work. So honestly, I live under a rock, but I had no clue who he was, how popular he was. You know, I didn't even know he had songs like Romantic Deletion and all that. We're going to listen to that song too, guys. I'm going to slow it down for you just so we can hear the lyrics. But let's continue the
live
video.
stream that was resurfaced where they were talking to some of his fans, and also a photo of David and Celeste out at an event somewhere in LA in, it appears, October 2023, because there's a photo of David and Billie Eilish at the same event from that date.
In October of 2023, she'd have been just turned 14.
Yes.
No,
I
just
believe
turned 13.
13, and he would have been, so 2023, he would have been 17 or 18.
Yeah, not legal.
Yeah.
Not legal. If
that
anything,
is another part of this. If it was a romantic relationship, yes, certainly disturbing.
And here's you guys heard that. He would have been 17 or 18. Now, here's another thing that a lot of people don't like to talk about is the fact that sometimes there are offenders who are young themselves, who are teenagers themselves, right? But obviously, by the time that he would have had a romantic connection with her and would have had access to her in person, he was over the age of 18, right? And at that point, she was, I believe, 13. Yeah, 13 in 2023, and then he would have been 19, 20 as their relationship progressed, right? Doesn't change that he's still a predator. Doesn't change that, especially because we're finding out that his connections to her began when she was actually around 12, right? But things do kind of get tricky when you have offenders who are young people themselves.
We haven't seen anything like sort of PDA or kissing or anything that would make you think that we could say for sure this was a romantic relationship. But what is clear is they spent a lot of time together. What the nature of the relationship is, we don't know for sure yet.
Okay, well, I'm going to skip ahead to something I was going to ask you in a minute, but I'm going to go there now. Maybe we don't have pictures or anything of them. indicating anything romantic, but there's art, there are songs, and now everything's being looked at through a microscope. Tell me about a leaked song called Celeste.
Yeah, the lyrics to this song now, you like you said, looking through today's lens, very interesting. This is a song, it was unreleased, but it did leak on SoundCloud in in December of 2023. Some of the lyrics, and again, the title was Celeste. It says, "Oh Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest."
And here's the other thing, right? This is going to come right before she initially goes missing. And I don't know if they're going to reference the January missing date, but this is happening right before she goes missing. Right before it. So why is it that this young man is releasing a song with her actual name and then she goes missing? That was his grandiose action, right? That's how he reeled this young girl in, right? I'm gonna use my stardom and my power, release a song that's really not gonna be out there for very long. It's gonna be on SoundCloud, and I'm not gonna put it all the way out, but just the fact that I created it, just the fact that I released it into the world, right? That was his way of manipulating her and using his stardom to do it, right? Because after that, she had her first occurrence where her parents called her, reported her missing in January, right? And we see him leave. She's with him in person. She's doing an IRL stream with him. And then for some reason or in some way, she decides to reconnect with her family for a brief period of time. And then in April, they report her missing again. She's completely gone. Right after he takes this grand gesture of making music about her. Right? These are the manipulation tactics. Grown men don't have to change their tactics when they get to young girls, right? Because that manipulation is not going to be questioned. It's not going to be understood in the same way from a teenager as it would a grown woman, right? Or even a 20-year-old his age, 19, 18-year-old, right? She's not going to be as easily manipulated. She might not even run away because why would she do that, right? 17, 18, she understands she's going to have her freedom. Maybe she wants to go to school. Maybe she wants to work and has plans. Scar said, I can already tell this is about to be disturbing. It certainly is. Too much. There's no the thing. The thing, BYT Go, is there are no coincidences when it comes to crime 9 times out of 10. Right. So if there are way too many connections, that's a problem. Creepy Pig says that's all circumstantial. Need hard DNA evidence to connect him to the crime. So that's true, right? We definitely need to connect him to the crime. That's why the police had a search warrant and they were looking for blood in his house. Right? It takes time to get DNA evidence. But what I'll say is, where there's smoke, there's fire. And this goes for a lot of things. Her name's Celeste. You make a song right around when she goes missing. You talk about a tattoo on her body. She's dismembered. Do they have her chest? Do they have her abdomen? Do we know everything that she was going through? Yeah, exactly. They've definitely convicted people for less. Right? And that's why I said circumstantial, because sometimes circumstantial evidence can do the trick, right? They go to a jury and a jury decides that it's more likely than not, right, that person committed that crime. And I think this is going to be one of those cases where a lot of the circumstantial evidence points to him. A lot of it points to him, and there are no coincidences when it comes to crime. Scar really said, with a name like Creepy Pig, listen, that might be him himself. That might be Mr. David, parading around the streets, trying to figure out what it is that these internet sleuths know about him. Because yes, it's circumstantial, but I can promise you most people are looking at this scratching their head like, why? What? You release a song a month before she goes missing the first time and 4 months before she goes missing indefinitely, and then she's found deceased in your vehicle I mean, way too many coincidences. Just too many to not even consider him a suspect.
Smell her on my clothes like cigarettes. I hear her voice each time I take a breath. I'm obsessed.
That's 2023.
December of 2023, right?
Like 4 months before she disappeared.
Right. And actually, I believe there was another time. It appears that she, I don't know if it was she had run away or just that she was not contacting her mother. And so there was, in January of 2024, a missing report. And then again, another one in April. So her home life is also something we're looking
All right, so I'm going to play that back. And I resent what he even says about her home life. Because again, if they reported her missing after this first situation in January where she obviously went to see him and be with him, and then right after she disappears again, they were keeping track to the best of their abilities. Now, whether or not one person in their family facilitated a relationship or not, I don't know.
Right.
But let's hear it back
4 months
again.
before she disappeared.
Right. And actually, I believe there was another time. It appears that she, I don't know if it was she had run away or just that she was not contacting her mother. And so there was, in January of 2024, a missing report. And then again, another one in April. So her home life is also something we're looking into because it's clear that she was not, this was not a stable situation. So a missing report. And then again, another one in April. So it appears that she, I don't know if it was she had run away or just that she was not contacting her mother. And so there was, in January of 2024, a missing report. And then again,
Mind you, January being when we have documented imagery video, right, of him doing an IRL stream with Celeste, right? And her parents or whoever her family members, caregivers are, call the police, report her missing. Whatever she did to reconcile or stop the feelings that they had with her being gone or being with this stranger she met online, she came back, she eased them for a minute, and then
another one in April. So her home life is also something we're looking into because it's clear that she was not, this was not a stable situation, and that she was in and out of the house. We also know that, you know, there was a photo, and we don't have a date for this one yet. There's a photo of David in a parking lot in Lake Elsinore, California, which for people outside of LA, that is a place that's about 70 miles east of LA. So it's not like right around the corner. And David was in a parking lot there in Lake Elsinore, which is where Celeste and her family live. They're from Lake Elsinore. So
yet another coincidence.
yeah. Okay, so again, yet another coincidence. What is he doing in her neighborhood? I'm going to take it back for you guys. It's been 48 hours since all this has happened. I think maybe a little bit more now. Why is he in her neighborhood? Is that another coincidence we're supposed to accept?
Lake Elsinore, California, which for people outside of right.
Like 4 months before she disappeared.
Right. And actually, I believe there was another time. It appears that she, I don't know if it was she had run away or just that she was not contacting her mother. And so there was, in January of 2024, a missing report. And then again, another one in April. So her home life is also something we're looking into because it's clear that she was not, this was not a stable situation, and that she was in and out of the house. We also know that, you know, there was a photo, and we don't have a date for this one yet. There's a photo of David in a parking lot in Lake Elsinore, California, which for people outside of LA, that is a place that's about 70 miles east of LA. So it's not like right around the corner. And David was in a parking lot there in Lake Elsinore, which is where Celeste and her family live. They're from Lake Elsinore. So
yet another coincidence.
Yes. And by the way,
and this is where we have to give the police their time. The police need their time, right? We don't need to know every piece of evidence, right? But here we go again. Why is this man associated with her local area? I mean, it's so sloppy. I'm not saying I'm hoping for a better criminal, but why is he in her neighborhood? What is the likelihood that a girl who he is associated with in the friendship is found dead in his truck? But then we also find out that he spent a lot of time, right? He has a lot of in real life pictures and moments that he spent with her. What's the likelihood that he has nothing to do with her being found dismembered? I mean, California is massive. What is the likelihood that he's in her exact neighborhood? I mean, they're from Lake Elsinore. So what is he doing there? I mean, obviously these people are connected and they're getting the information a little bit faster than us. But what is his connection to Lake Elsinore? Scarby, you say your home life matters. If she had a bad home life, that would make it easier for her to be groomed / persuaded. That's true, but I also do think sometimes that um, somebody could have come from the best of homes, right, and still be groomed and manipulated and persuaded to leave home by yourself, right? And maybe because you come from a vulnerable home, like for example, let's say it's a single mother or a person who their spouse passed away, right? And so now people are going to be like, well, it matters that she was vulnerable, right? When it really has to do with the character of the person who took advantage of that person, right? Why is he in Lake Elsinore? There are way too many coincidences here where I think all this information put together, kind of like Taz was saying earlier in the stream, a lot of people are in prison based off of this type of circumstantial evidence. EJ Brown says, wasn't she found in the trunk of his car? And does he not have a song that incriminate him matching tats? Yeah, these are all too coincidental. He has a song, an unreleased song named Celeste that he put out on SoundCloud. SoundCloud is a very popular music app relatable to the kids, right? So yeah, he would use that platform probably to manipulate her, make her feel popular. Matching tats, which they say a lot of adults have that, but what's the likelihood that someone who's found in your truck has a matching tattoo to you and there's no connection? I just think it makes it easier because the goal is to get away. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but even two-parent households, the goal for some of these kids who are being controlled or dominated by their parents is to get away. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't always mean good home life. Yeah, exactly. Only having one parent doesn't always mean bad home life. So I can see where you're going there. Let's listen though.
That parking lot, we looked at it on we geotagged the photo and looked at it. It was about a 6-minute walk from Celeste's home where her mom lives anyway.
Then there's another singer. There's another song that I find disturbing. It's 2022. And it's called Romantic Homicide.
It is
and
one
there's
of
some lyrics there that are disturbing.
It is actually one of his biggest hits. If you look up David's songs on a streaming platform, Romantic Homicide is usually near the top, if not the top song. And some of the lyrics from that song, he says, in the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true. I hate you.
Important to say, no mention of the name Celeste here.
No
and
mention of Celeste in there.
Doing the math, correct me if I'm wrong, she'd be 12 in 2022.
Yeah, we don't know when they first, met, when their friendship or whatever it was began. But obviously there are a lot of images now of them together. They had some sort of relationship. And now clearly police are trying to connect those dots as well. I got to tell you about the search at the house. We know what while we don't know what they actually left with, we know from law enforcement sources what they were looking for and what they did inside the house. They were looking for blood evidence. We're told that the detectives went through the house. There was with luminol, thinking that if whatever happened to Celeste, if she met her demise in the house, they wanted to see if there was any evidence of blood anywhere in the home. So they were using luminol around the house. They were checking drains to see if there's any, blood evidence or, blood or tissue that was in the drains there. So they did a scouring of this house looking for any evidence. Again, we don't know what, if anything, they found, but our law enforcement sources say when they executed this search warrant, that was on the list, a very long list of things they were looking for in that house.
That's very painful to hear, because we know that this body was dismembered and not all parts of this body were recovered. So it would make perfect sense if they were looking to see where that dismembering happened.
Right.
And also, just remind me, this house is being rented by David's manager.
And again, because the vehicle was towed from the apartment that he was associated with. That's another major fact that people are not taking into consideration. Right? Before that car got to the tow yard, it was sitting in that neighborhood, stinking up the neighborhood. People knew about this vehicle. They were wondering why it was parked on the road far away from the house at one point. And that's what got it sent to the impound lot. So this house, this body, at some point could have been sitting outside of his apartment, the apartment that he's associated with. Hey, Victorious One. Let's continue.
Sure.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind that David is a very young, he's 20 years old. So from what we've seen as listings, this house is going, $20,000, that it can be rented for $20,000 a month. It is a large home. It's an estate, really. That's not the kind of thing even a famous 20-year-old could do on his own typically. So it is his manager, a guy who is connected to Interscope Records.
Josh Marshall is his name, right?
Yes. So he is the person we found out who was actually on the lease, who was renting this. But again, from all the photos that David has posted, it's very clear he was staying in this home, if not all the time, frequently he was staying there.
Was the focus just on the house, or did they look elsewhere around the property?
They looked around the entire property. There's the house, there's a yard also where they could have searched for,
what about a garage?
have searched. Yes, there's a garage there. In fact, I want to say it's a 3-car garage that they went into. They searched there. But
I mean, my mind being in true crime goes to Dexter, and garages are often one of the places of choice, for this kind of macabre behavior. Yeah. And then do you have any information on purchasing? Like, was anybody within David's orb purchasing things like the kind of supplies you would need for this kind of an operation? Sometimes the Home Depot, sometimes Walmart. People go in with big cleaning supplies, drop sheets, even tools, that kind of thing. Bleach.
I know where your mind is going, Ashley, and I wish I could say we don't know at this point, but it has been very difficult, I will say, to speak to people in David's orbit, that close friends.
And we've gotten very little info from David, his camp. A lot of times when we have vocal celebrities who get involved in situations like this, and they're not in some way legally culpable, they will come out and want to speak on their innocence. Now, a lot is going on. This case is moving so quickly online. So I can see why David and his people might not want to be forthcoming to us, right? Especially because we can already smell his BS. But I can see why he wouldn't want to be forthcoming, so I'm not going to sit here and play stupid. Right? But I do think there should be some effort from David's team to say, hey, he's not involved in this. He has nothing to do with this. He was doing X, Y, Z. He loved this girl, or he was a good friend of her, or she was staying here. She was reaching out to him when she was on the run. Whatever they can be to prove his innocence, but they're just quiet. They're quiet to the media. They're quiet on their socials. Obviously, they're going to be, but it's quite a bit that's going on with him that I do think it's a little weird that we haven't at least gotten a statement from his team. All right, let's continue.
As you would imagine, most people are pretty tight-lipped and not willing to say anything at this point because they know what's going on. They know this case has been getting a lot of attention here in LA and growing in the attention it's getting around the country. They know what police are looking for, and so they have not exactly been forthcoming with a lot of information.
Well, you know how that works, Charles. The minute arrests start happening, people start talking because nobody wants to be on the business end of a charge connected with, accessory after or during or conspiracy. I mean, these are the kinds of things that make the concentric circle squeeze to the player they're looking for. And I'm not saying it's David. I'm not saying it's his manager. It could be any of the above. You never know. It could be anybody. But just what about David himself? Like, what's going on with him? Is he in hiding? Is he under arrest? What are his management and endorsements? What's happening with him?
Boy, I wish I could tell you all. Here's what we know about David. The last place he was seen publicly for certain was in Seattle when he performed 2 nights ago. He had a show that was scheduled last night, but that one was canceled. And while we figured that he would be coming back to LA, we know that he has an attorney. We have not positively seen him yet. There was a sighting of someone that someone believed to be David, but we can't confirm 100%.
Yeah, so he's staying quiet. He's staying out of the media. He's not playing into any of the antics, and that's fine, right? But people are looking at you, David, and we do not think you're innocent. All right, so now that we've kind of dug into everything we know about Celeste, I wanted to take things back into age of consent, where that conversation sort of came in, because I do think the problem that we are kind of having right now with the influx of girls and women being kind of groomed into these situations is that we're not having the consent conversation. We're not teaching girls that a young man or a male who is grown should not be seeking after you when you are a teenager, when you're a child, any of that. Right? And even at 18, that a 50-year-old seeking you out or a 40-year-old seeking you out is just not normal. Right? So we're going to kind of get into this conversation with Mr. Stephen Fry. I believe he's very popular in having more open dialogue about certain things that kind of plague young people and kind of plague many communities across the globe. So we're going to go into the age of consent conversation, and also the fact that prior to the last 100 years or so, young people were sort of very vulnerable to the manipulation that they received from, whatever older groups of people that they were associated with. All right. Scarbeezy says he was too old to even claim the Romeo and Juliet law. Exactly, because he would have been like 17, 18 when this girl was about 12, 13. So it's not like they were 2 teenagers that were like almost grown. Like, no, this was him and a young girl. All right, let's kind of get into this one, guys. And I do want to give a trigger warning if these conversations and topics about young people and their relationships and how they can be manipulated so that they can be abused. If that type of thing will trigger you, I do want to let you know that's what we'll be talking about. If you want to take this time to exit the stream, I do want to give you that moment. Otherwise, let's get into the show.
Hi. Firstly, thank you so much. That was unbelievable. And to the question, considering the levels of child prostitution during the Victorian times in London, and considering that Oscar Wilde frequently had relationships with rent boys, do you think there's any justification for his imprisonment?
I don't actually. It's a very good question, though, because of course we tend to apply our moral standards to those who come before us. The rent boy does not mean under 16 or under 18, by the way. It's a word that's still used today, and if you care to troll through, you put it on Google search, you will find commercial sites for professional young gentlemen engaging upon escort and massage services which are exactly the same as those that Oscar used. There's no particular evidence that he consorted with children. And I would say the extraordinary thing is, yes, there's a lot of evidence for child prostitution in Britain in Victorian times, but the thing that most shocks me, in a way, is how much evidence there is of it in our time. Recently in Rotherham and in Manchester. The thing that's shocking about it, that is in a sense not ever really been addressed, is A, why the red top newspapers and indeed even the broadsheets consider it such a salacious headline grabber.
And if you think about that, and he's talking about Manchester, UK, whatever, because that's where this interview is happening, and hey, Enraged. But if you apply this globally, that is still true, right? Globally, there's still this type of conversation happening as it relates to young people and kind of what they're doing, the relationships that they're in.
They know people will see child sex and they will reach for the newspaper. Christopher Hitchens used to.
Yeah. And if you think about as well, the Diddy case and, Usher, Justin Bieber, all these different artists who were subjected to these old, weird, professional weirdos who were kind of introducing them to the industry and kind of X work and all that. Sky says it was so normalized in the Victorian age that Queen Victoria would flirt with her old advisor. She mistook his caring for something else. That's how normal it was. Yeah, it was normal. It was encouraged. It was legal, right? Like I mentioned, up until about 1885, it was legal for a male of any age to marry a 12-year-old, to have intercourse with a 12-year-old. So, we have our mindset shifting, but hundreds of years of behaviors that are still being unlearned. All right, let's continue.
Say this is one of the few brave people enough to say it, brave enough people to say it. Is there something inside them? Is it purely a protection of their own children that makes them look for it? And if there are that many children, the thousands that are mentioned by the Constable of Greater Manchester, why has nobody followed up with saying, well, that means there must be thousands of users of children? And that's the point.
Yeah. And here's the thing that people don't understand is that I think overall, most people think that once a child reaches a certain age, that they're able to be culpable for what they're feeling, thinking, and doing. And so people will discount very despicable interactions. For example, one of them being that, young girls are fast. I've mentioned this before. I've talked about it on my channel, talked about it in the stream, right? When people label young girls as fast, they're ignoring what is creating that speed, right? That speed is coming from grown men encouraging them to get into sexual interactions and relationships with them, not caring about the innocence of these girls, not caring about their future or anything like that. Celeste Rivas Hernandez being one of the most fatal cases that we've heard about recently, where a young woman is encouraged by an older male to begin a sexual relationship. And now she was dismembered, so we don't know what it is that we can know for sure about her life, right? Was she pregnant? Right? Because that's when the chance of deletion goes up significantly for women. So was she pregnant? Was there other physical evidence that happened? Did she refuse him? Did she humiliate him? What was going on? Can we find a conclusive cause of death with the pieces of her body that we have left? But I am going to send you guys off because I have some nighttime engagements that I'm going to be in. I will be around the YouTube streets, just kind of doing some fun, silly content. So if you guys enjoyed my stream, do me a favor, hit the like button. I will be following up on Celeste Reeves. I do want to see what we actually come out with, because trust me, what we've seen in the last 72 hours, right? I'll extend it further since these videos were put out. What we've seen in the last 72 hours is significant developments in this case, right? And what that really means is that the police know 10 times more. So I want to know where we're at with this. So I'll definitely be back to do a follow-up. But if you guys enjoyed the stream, Do me a favor, hit the like button, share, and subscribe, and I'll send you off with a song. And then I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you.
Flora Bella on my screen. Her smile, it shines so bright. She's a queen with every scene. In the morning or the night, recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence, it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power. Spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong, she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power. Spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence, it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power. Spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong, she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power. Spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows.